Hello and welcome to the Year 1 Virtual Parent Meet and Greet. In this session, we aim to provide you with information for your child starting in Year 1 in September, give you an overview of the curriculum, key assessments and useful updates. So let's start off by introducing the Year 1 team. There is myself, Mr. Barrington Wilding, who is the Year 1 lead and Purple class teacher. Alongside me will be Miss Plummer, who will be teaching in Green class, and Miss Newman, who will be teaching in Orange class. You will hear from both of them throughout the presentation too. So, all children are coming back to school in September. Now, some children are currently in school, some children have not been in school since March. So, in light of this, we've reviewed our curriculum and adapted Term 1 to teach and recap fundamental, expected and exceeding early learning goal statements that were not fully taught, and use these alongside the emerging objectives of the Year 1 curriculum. Now, when children come back, they're all going to have different starting points, so we're going to assess them through activities and games, and then use this information that we've gathered to inform our planning and teaching so we can close gaps from the previous year and build on what they already know. Now, to do this, we have adapted our timetable to support this transition because some children have not been in school since March. So therefore, we need to build up their learning stamina, we need to have some time to respond to their needs, and as well as support their social and emotional well-being. Now, the social and emotional well-being will be a real big aspect of it, and we'll be undertaking PSHE lessons and activities throughout the week. And this will be alongside our positive learning behaviours using our learning characteristics. Some key updates then for when children come back in September. All Year 1 children will be in a year group bubble, as well as their own class bubble. Doors in the classrooms will be open from 8:30 AM to avoid any waiting around on the playground. The children will come into the classroom independently, so no parents entering the cloakroom or the classroom. They will be greeted by their teacher, they will wash their hands and the teacher will have an activity for the children to complete before school starts. Can I remind you again that it's just one adult to drop off and pick up from school where possible. Now, using this year group bubble that I talked about earlier, we will have staggered playtimes with only Year 1 children, which will avoid contact with other year groups. We are going to continue to wash our hands regularly throughout the day. So as soon as they come in, throughout the day, before and after they eat. We're also going to highlight the importance of using tissues and promote the motto of catch it, bin it and kill it. So whenever they need to blow their nose or cough, they have a tissue, they're binning it and washing their hands afterwards. Something else that's going to be different for Term 1 is that on PE days, children are going to come into school in their PE kit. And in September, we will tell you which day this is, and this therefore minimises extra things coming into school. Children can bring a water bottle and a book bag into school. Please do not bring in big bags unless it's absolutely necessary, as we need to keep things coming into school a minimum. So let's look at the curriculum. Your children are now in Key Stage 1. They are no longer on the early years foundation stage curriculum. So all our planning, teaching and assessment will follow the national curriculum. And this is the curriculum that became statutory in September 2014. Now, because the early years curriculum and the Year 1 curriculum are different, there's going to be a transition period. And this is where we are able to move that gradual shift from the early years approach to the Year 1 approach. So I'll explain how we're going to do this. The classrooms are going to have English and math challenge areas alongside a construction area, a role play and a science and investigation zone. These areas will allow for practical opportunities to practice and embed skills across the curriculum. They'll be able to continue to develop their independence and explore and investigate in many different ways. Also, benefit what we do in Year 1 is that we teach a lesson over 2 days, which provides the child time to work with the teacher, but also time to further their learning in provision through different kinds of challenges. Assessment is different compared to early years. So in Year 1, we will assess the children according to their progress against the national expected targets for their age group. And they'll be assessed as either working towards age-related expectations, which is emerging, working at age-related expectations, which is expected, or exceeding age-related expectations, which is greater depth. There is a key assessment in Year 1, and that is the phonics screening check. The phonics screening check is used to identify if a child has learnt phonic decoding to the appropriate standard. Now, the phonics screening check will take place for all Year 1 children on the week commencing the 7th of June 2021. Now, here is an example of what the phonics screening looks like. The children will be presented with real words, and they will be presented with alien words or pseudo words, which are just made up nonsense words. They will have to read each word. They may be able to read the word, or they may need to sound it out. So they might go in. The other one they do for the alien words, they might go ot. So it's just seeing, can they segment words and blend them together. Later on in the year, we will hold a phonics screening workshop and explain and prepare you for that assessment. Something that's really exciting that we are going to bring to Year 1 this year is Seesaw. This is the first year that we are going to use it. It is very similar to the interactive learning diary that you are currently using in reception. Now, this will give us the advantage of sharing with you your children's work and their learning through photos and videos, and it will also then help you at home to support conversations about learning and also kind of seeing what your child is doing and maybe the next steps that you could do to help them with it. So, like ILD, you'll be able to comment on your child's work as well as upload work that you complete at home with them, and it's very private, it's all very secure. You'll only see your child's journal, no one else's. So a letter explaining how to set up Seesaw will come out in September, and you will receive an email on how to activate your account then. But if you have any questions about Seesaw, please speak to your child's class teacher in September. Now I'm going to pass over to Miss Newman, who's going to explain more about the curriculum looking at reading and writing.
Right, so a key part of Year 1 is the reading curriculum. So when we're thinking about reading, we're talking about a vast range of skills. So it's not just decoding what the word says, there's lots of other skills that go with that. And we'd like to encourage you to develop all of those skills that we'll be teaching at school by reading at home. And we'll talk more about how we teach reading in a second to help you teach at home. So when it comes to what can I read with my children at home, there's endless amounts of things you can read. You can read poems, our reading scheme books, those are read, write, ink books, and those other books that get sent home with the read, write, ink books. Non-fiction, fiction books, chapter books, so Roald Dahl is a brilliant one. Any magazines or anything, we've got ebooks, we've also got then online our bug club books, and then just anything when you're out and about. Are there any signs that your children can read and recognise, and just encouraging them to read wherever possible. So when we're teaching reading, there's two parts. So you've got the phonics, which is the children segmenting a word into their separate sounds and then blending them together to be able to read what it is. So for instance, with shop, we'd have sh, op, and then they blend it together to make shop. And that's where we'd encourage our children to use their thread fingers and their sound buttons to help them spot those digraphs and trigraphs. And then so alongside the phonics that we'd be teaching in our read, write, ink lessons, in guided reading, we'd be teaching lots of different skills. So things like looking at the front of the book, what do we think might happen just by the pictures, reading the blurb, does that give us any more information about what we think might happen, any ways to make some predictions. Then we'll also focus on retelling familiar stories, so all those traditional tales, fairy tales that they'll all know, and then any stories that they don't know, any unfamiliar stories, we'll focus on retelling those as well, and then becoming comfortable with the structure of a text as well, so that every story has a beginning, a middle and an end. And we'll also be thinking about making predictions, so what do you think is going to happen next, and why do you think that? And then also making some inferences about characters, so why do you think the mouse might be feeling a bit scared of the Gruffalo, or why do you think the caterpillar might still be hungry? And those children just using what they know to make some inferences about what's happened. Then, as well as all of those things, if children come across a word they don't know, we'll encourage them to use the pictures, or maybe that will help explain what's happened, or reading around what's that word. So does that help us figure out what that word means? And then we'll also think about linking the text to our own experiences. So if in the book the child's gone on a trip to London, you can talk about have we ever been on a trip to London? Have we been on a trip anywhere? What did we do? Did you enjoy it? What did you like? What didn't you like? All those kinds of things. And then so along with reading is writing is another key area of focus in year one. One thing that we'll focus on heavily is handwriting. So in the first couple of turns we'll be focusing on making sure that those children can form the print letters they've learnt in reception correctly on the line. And then once we're confident that they can do that, we will move on to learning the precursive, like you can see in the picture there, which will help them in year two when they come to joining. Another key area with our writing is punctuation, so that's leaving finger spaces between all our words, making sure that every sentence starts with a capital letter, that names of people, places and the days of the week have a capital letter, and that every sentence ends with either a full stop, or if it's a question mark or an exclamation mark for those exciting sentences. And then when it comes to actually thinking about what we're going to write, we'll encourage the children to say their sentence before they write it so they know where their sentence is going to end, making sure that our sentences, if we're retelling a story, are in the correct order, rereading our work to check that it makes sense, that we've not missed out any words, and then we'll have a conversation with the children about what they have written. Can they tell us what they've written about, and then can they read their work back to us? And then in our grammar, what we'll be teaching the children is how to use the conjunction and then we'll also begin to use because, but and so, and we'll also teach them the prefix un, so how the opposite of something, so you can tie something but then you can untie it, and then things like unhappy. We'll also teach them some suffixes, so things that go at the end of the word, so how to make something plural, so s and es, and then also for changing our verbs with in, ed and so you can have helping, helped or helper. And then we'll also teach the children how to read and spell our common exception words, so these will replace the keywords that you've had in reception, and then by the end of the year the children need to know both how to read these words and how to spell them, so we'll be drip feeding these in throughout the year as we go on.
I'm now going to talk to you about maths. It's an area of our curriculum that we're going to look at. So the first area to look at is number bonds. Not just number bonds to 10, but the story of all numbers. Children really need to internalise these. So as well as knowing the number bonds to 10, such as 5 had 5, 4 had 6, 7 had 3, and knowing those, also knowing number stories for any numbers. So how do you make 5? 3 and 2, 4 and 1, 5 and 0. How do you make 7? 3 and 4, 5 and 2, 6 and 1. And using that knowledge, really practicing getting to know it, because this will be the basis of all their number work throughout their primary education. As soon as they've got that real secure knowledge, they'll be able to take it further. So, as well as learning all the number bonds and number stories, children will be taught and need to be able to count to, across, forwards and backwards to 100. And this is a big jump from reception, where they looked at numbers of 20. This is exploring numbers all the way up to 100. Now then, alongside this, as well as being able to count in 1s to 100, they need to be able to count in multiples of 2, 5 and 10. And this will be the basis then for later on when they're exploring multiplication. Also, children need to be able to read and write numbers from 1 to 20 in words, and then write all numbers in numerals to 100, and making sure they're forming them accurately and writing the numbers the right way round, so they're not writing 18 as 81 and vice versa. So applying then that number bond knowledge, that number story knowledge, they'll apply that then to 20. So if they know that 7 add 3 is 10, they should be able to really know straight away that 7 add blank gives them 20, and hopefully they would know that it would be 13 because they're using that number knowledge they have. They will learn how to add and subtract 1 and 2 digit numbers within 20, including 0, and this will be done again in lots of practical, fun ways. They'll also be introduced to multiplication and division and use concrete objects and have support from the teacher to do this. The other area of focus for maths is that children will need to have a look at coins and notes. And in a world of contactless and card, this is becoming ever increasingly difficult. And I know I'm for one where I like to just tap my card and the money is gone out of my account. But for children, it's really nice if they can physically see coins and actually understand what the numbers mean on those coins, and actually understand when they give money and might get change, they're actually spending things, what happens to it, all those kind of things. The more that you can have access to that and they have that understanding of money and notes and coins is going to help them a lot in year one and later on as they progress through primary education. Children also need to know the days of the week and months of the year. And we've also started to introduce this in EYFS, but telling the time to o'clock and past and actually being able to draw the hands on the clock face. So I'm now going to pass over to Miss Plummer, who's going to talk through to you about general reminders and homework.
Homework. Please remember that it's not just reading, it's reading their scheme books. They need to be reading books, library books, home library, comic books, such a variety of different things. Make sure that they record all of their reads, as 30 reads they can collect their penny stamps. When it comes to spellings, the children will be bringing home a set of spellings to learn each week. They'll be tested on a Friday. This is because it's to support their phonics learning, to learn common exception words, and to learn key vocabulary which is related to topics covered in the school. From term 2, the children will be given homework. This will either be an English piece or a maths work. It will be based on the learning from that week. All children will have a homework folder to put their homework in. Homework will be sent out on a Friday and it is expected back on the following Thursday. General reminders. If you have any questions, please email your child's teacher. The email address can be found on the school website. Keep us informed of any absences through a phone call and a letter on the next day with their return. Please remember to label their uniform and their PE kit. We do not want to lose any of that. Please ensure that your child's reading book, reading record and book bags are in school every day, as they do get changed throughout the week and we don't want them to miss anything. To encourage independence, please get the children to hand in the letters to us and not to have them left in their reading books, as they can go missing. For cloakrooms, they are limited in space, so please don't have your children bringing in big backpacks. Just need a drawstring PE bag, a book bag and a water bottle.
I'm going to go through the behaviour awards and behaviour policy with you quickly at our schools. So when children do things really good, they do good work, they're showing good manners, they're showing that they're owning their behaviour, they'll get things like verbal praise, they'll get stickers, they have text to parents, they'll have Own It Star Awards, there'll be weekly celebrations and Gold Book. There's also the behaviour bank. So when we talk about having penny stamps, those penny stamps that they collect, they can go and spend in the behaviour shop. So each penny stamp they get, they can earn up and they could buy things like a pencil, or they could buy a pencil case at 50p. So it's teaching children they could either save or spend it and work hard to go and get those rewards that way. Just a quick one about uniform. So when children come back to school in September, they are going to be expected to wear their school uniform. So cardigans and jumpers are blue, preferably with the Wroughton Primary Federation logo. Dresses and trousers to be either black or grey. Polo tops or shirts can either be in blue or white. And boys can wear grey or black shorts in the summer, and girls can wear summer dresses if they wish in the summer too. PE kit, again, it's black shorts, and they can wear their either white t-shirt or blue t-shirt, preferably with the Wroughton Primary Federation logo, and their hoodie. And also when they come back to school, they've got their book bag, which they would bring into the classroom with them. And then when we start bringing PE kits back into school, they can have their PE kit in a drawstring bag. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch our presentation. I hope you found the session useful and you've got all the key information you need ready for your child to start school in September. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email or ring the school office or contact myself. Have a lovely summer, and I look forward to working with you all in September. Thank you again.